Hey everybody, it's Gina here from Gina Makes It. Today I am on the Graphic Fairies YouTube channel with my latest tag project for Tag Team Friday. And today's video I am creating 6 different types of tags using pre-existing digitals from a tutorial that is in the premium membership site that is called How to Create Postcard Collages. And so the tutorial is actually about how to create these images, but I liked the images so much that I printed out the PDF at the end of the tutorial onto some linen cotton paper, and I decided to turn them into tags. So on the back I printed out some coffee dyed paper, but I ended up covering that up because I wasn't sure how I was going to use them in the first place. After I finish distressing all of the edges, I'm going to create my base for my tag, and I'm using some avocado dyed paper for the postcards that have the pinky hues, and for the ones that have more of those autumnal hues, I'm going to use just some regular coffee dyed paper. So I just loosely measured based on the height and the width of the postcard itself, and I decided that I'm going to create a little pocket on the back of the tag. So I'm leaving it a little bit longer so I can fold over the edge once I figure out the final size. Now there are different sizes to these, and so for the main ones, which there'll be about 4 of the main ones, I'm going to create that pocket on the back, but for that really small one and the second to the smallest, I'm not going to create a pocket on the back because I didn't have enough scrap paper, and so I thought that I would just create a straight tag with those. So you can see I'm lining up the postcard on the base itself, and I really like the way that it looks, and so I'm going to measure and cut more for the remainder of my postcards. Once I finish doing that, I take all of the pieces to my sewing machine and I sew around the perimeter of the base, and by doing that I'm also creating the pocket on the back. Once I get them all sewn, I use kind of a tone-on-tone thread because I really like the way that looks, and I'm just doing a messy sewing around the perimeter of each of those tags. I kind of rip the edges of the postcards and I crumple them up a little bit, and then I glue them right down into the center of each of the bases. I want to add a textural element to the tag, so I pull out some vintage lace, and it so happens that it is the perfect size to put on that back pocket, and so I trim pieces of lace and glue them down right on top of that pocket so it appears to be a little lace pocket on the back of the tag. I decide to add some fabric to the sides as sort of like the tag topper. And so I have some vintage pink fabric and some vintage green fabric from my stash, and I cut little pieces and I took it to my sewing machine and I kind of crumpled them up and went over a few times with a straight stitch and a zigzag stitch. And now I'm just kind of ripping it and cutting it so to give it kind of like a weathered look and to make it the right size. And so I'm just going to attach the pink ones to the postcards that have the pinky hues and the green ones to those more autumnal hue postcards. And this is sort of a see it as you go type process, and not all toppers are one size fits all, and it just sort of depends on how it was sewn and the size and all of that. And so I'm just kind of gauging it as I'm going through it. After I finished putting all of my fabric toppers onto my tags, I decided to do something that I've always wanted to do but I've never done before. And so I pull my candle over and I have some wax sticks that I want to melt on top of the flame and drip onto my postcard. So you can see that one was still on fire when it dropped down onto that postcard. So I realized I was holding the wax stick a little too close to the flame, so I proceeded to hold it a little bit higher, and I added some more pink drips to all of the postcards that have the pink hues, and I repeated the process with a gold wax stick on the other two more green and orangey type themed postcards. I really like the way that these wax drips looked. It was something that I've seen other people do and I've never done it, and I thought, oh, this would be the perfect medium to try this sort of effect, and I really liked it. And what's really neat is that I found that if I made a mistake, I could just kind of wipe it away, and it just kind of was curled up and pushed away, and there was never any sort of a remnant on there. So don't be afraid to try this, because you can easily erase it by just kind of wiping it off. Once I finished doing that, I decided to take my cold cup of tea and get a paintbrush and just kind of do the same sort of effect, but with the tea across all of the tags, and add a little bit more tea staining to it. Even though I had pretty good coffee stains and transfers and avocado stains and transfers on the backs of these, I wanted to replicate that on the front of these postcards, and so I just kind of dripped some tea along the edges, and it worked out really great. I'm really excited to use these tags, and I hope you've been inspired by this video. I'll see you next time.